4 learning theories that I will be discussing for online learning are behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, and sociocultural. The first theory I will be discussing is behaviorism. In a classroom setting, a teacher reacts in a manner of rewarding a student for good behavior or punishing a student for bad behavior. In some cases, this can be an example of completing an assignment on time or having a great understanding of a lesson. And in other cases, punishing a student would be for missing an assignment, bad behavior, or not turning in their work in a timely manner. And this process can affect a student's motivation. So if you're in a classroom setting and your students were struggling throughout the week with a problem and now they've all got it, you can reward your students by giving them a prize for completing their work and understanding the concepts. When you are giving your students feedback, you want to encourage the student to know that they're doing a great job. You want to be involved with the student, especially when you're online, because when you're online learning, you are losing that face-to-face contact. So it's nice to get feedback from your instructor to know how you are doing, what you can do to improve on your assignments, or what you're already doing great at during the assignments that are being asked to complete. With your students, you want to make sure you are being supportive through their online class, being encouraging, making sure they know that they're doing a great job, giving them feedback in a timely manner, and just encouraging them throughout their whole course. The second learning theory I'll be discussing is cognitivism. In this learning theory, you want your students to organize the information. So you want them to understand the process of how a problem is and how to dissect each problem. So you want them to organize the information in an efficient way. You want them to come up with their own strategies using different explanations to explain their findings or beliefs to make it personal. And you want them to have a goal and a reason for their understandings. And you want them to have different kinds of learning materials. So they're using any kind of materials from a learning object, a visual model, using their different media platforms to also gain a knowledge for these and how important they can be when using online learning. And the teacher's role in this is to self-check the students, make them think a little harder on their explanations, to think outside of the box. And your teacher is also going to reward or punish them based off their behavior. But she's also still going to be motivating them to keep them thinking. The third learning theory I'll be discussing is constructivism. And this is really getting the students to learn from their own experiences. So we're wanting them to engage in conversation and interact more and use their problem-solving skills to investigate and learn and explore and make their own judgments to understand a new concept or idea. And this can let the students explain their own findings to the teacher so that she can navigate them through their class and help them understand why or why not they came up with their own solution. And they can use real life experiences to engage in conversation. So during this, we're wanting the students to get involved and we're wanting them to interact with each other so that they can develop their own understanding of their lesson or assignment so that it stays with them not only for a short period of time but for a long period of time. With engaging the students, you want them to create challenges for themselves that help the learning curve, and you want them to be able to involve each other within their own challenges so that they can learn from one another and have a different form of learning. So with these different forms of learning, it's really going to stick with them. It's going to cause them to think outside of the box and have a better understanding to each problem and challenge that they are faced with, not only in your assignments but in real life situations. So when you give them a real life scenario, they can have a better conversation to relate their own experiences with this and have a better way to self-reflect on their own findings. With immediacy behaviors, it can allow the teacher to have either a verbal or nonverbal conversation with the student to make it more personal. So, this can be from the teacher choosing to smile, make eye contact, or have vocal expressions to the students by saying, "Hey, you did a great job on this," or maybe next time you should try this to help better your understanding, and just really get engaged with the students and get them excited about learning, get them excited about having the opportunity to learn from each other, and just tell each other their own experiences to make it personal and connect on a different level. Lastly, I will be talking about sociocultural. Technology has been a huge part of online learning here recently, and students being able to use Zoom to connect and still learn with their classmates and teachers or educators. But not only using a platform like Zoom, but also it's created opportunities for students to learn through different apps or social media platforms. This also broadens the horizon for kids to learn in a different way that makes it fun and exciting, and especially when you're lacking that face-to-face contact. You want your students to make the connection to what they are studying or researching and make it relevant. So you want them to bring it all in together to understand their final conclusion. You want them to be goal driven, and also working in a collaborative environment can open their eyes to different ways of learning and have that diversity to see why someone else came up with the same solution but in a different way. Their learning environment can really set the tone for the class. You want to make sure that it's a good environment where they can focus and make sure they have the correct support to get through the course, and also making a connection with the people who are in their course. That can help them feel not only support from their instructor or teacher, but from the people who are also taking the course with them, and interact with them, get to know them on a personal level, and ask them questions, and sometimes know that they might have the same questions or thoughts as someone else in the course. It helps bring everything together and make sure that they have a really strong and healthy work environment. After doing my own research for the learning theories, I have been able to understand why they are all so important. I have attached my references for the article that I have used along with the photographs I have used along my presentation. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy.